विचारी बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीसति लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज संवारे। लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सकै कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु लील्योताहि मधुर फल जानू। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा कीजय नाथ हृदय महडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरना मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय।
Jai Shri Krishna. What did Arjuna tell Lord Krishna to do when he observed the warriors drawn up for battle? On behalf of Geeta Parivar, I welcome you all to discover what part 2 of the first chapter, the Yoga of Dejection of Arjuna, has got to unveil. Let us begin the session with a prayer. We now have Rohini KNG. Rohini G is an accountant from Belgaum. She joined Geeta Parivar in August 2021. Welcome, Rohini ji.
Jai Shri Krishna. Vasudevasutan devam Kausachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishna Vande Jagadgurum Krishna Vande Jagadgurum. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you, Didi, for beautiful melodious prayer. It is said that victory is the child of preparation and determination. We ask for the grace to understand these profound words as we light the lamp today. I call upon Vidyavati NSG. Vidyavati Ji is an engineer and now homemaker from Bengaluru. She joined Geeta Parivar in October 2021 and now serves as L3 trainer. Welcome Vidyavati Ji.
निषिद्धैरप्येभिर्लुलितमकरन्दो मधुकरैः करैरिन्दोरन्तश्छुरित इव सम्भिन्नमुकुलः विधत्तां सिद्धिन्नो नयनसुभगामस्य सदसः प्रकीर्णः पुष्पाणां हरिचरणयोरञ्जलिरयम् शरदिन्दुनिभां शुभ्रवस्त्रैरलङ्कृतां कलहंसकृतावासां वरदां शारदां नुमः वरदां शारदां नुमः.
Thank you, Vidyavati Ji. The moment we have been waiting for has arrived. Let me introduce our main speaker of the day, Senior Trainer Shri Vikas Ji Vaidya. Vikas Vaidya Ji, Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering, based in Pune, owns a small IT company. He is proficient in 6 languages. Over the last 5 years, he has been reciting the whole Bhagavad Gita daily. He serves as trainer and selects and trains trainers. He also teaches and conducts Vivechan sessions as a member of Pune Geeta Parivar. He guides Geeta Vratis for the Shrungeri Peeth Geeta exam and has himself given Geeta Kantash exam at Shrungeri Peeth, for which he was awarded the first prize at the hands of PP Jagadguru Shankaracharya. It is a great privilege to welcome our speaker, Vikas Vaidya Ji. A warm welcome, Vikas Ji.
जय श्री कृष्ण. पूज्य स्वामी जी के चरण कमलों में कोटि कोटि नमन. We are studying Adhyay first, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna's Vishad, sadness, distress will start in a few shlokas from now. Last time we covered shlok up to 10th, I think. So we'll start with shlok number 11. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagamavasthitaha bhishmamevabhirakshantu bhavantas sarva eva hi. Ayaneshu. Ayaneshu means the strategic location. Ayaneshu. The military is always positioned at strategic locations so that it can attack the enemy in a good way. So Ayaneshu. Sarveshu, everywhere. Yatha bhagama. Bhagama is differently. Yatha, as differently arranged. Avasthitaha. Avasthita is established or situated. Abhirakshantu. Abhirakshantu is to give support or to protect. Bhavanta. Bhavanta is you, your good self. What we say in Hindi, aap. So that aap is Bhavanta. Sarva. All. So this shloka says, Sanjay is describing everything. that Duryodhana said, all of you. Now see, he is telling Guru Dronacharya, and see the language. All of you take your positions in the respective places to make sure that Bhishma, Bhishma Pitamaha is well protected and well supported from all sides. So he's almost instructing his own Guru Dronacharya, that all of you, including you, Guru Dronacharya, you take your positions in respective places and make sure that Pitamaha Bhishma is well protected, well supported in all situations. Now, instructing master soldiers and war wizards, like versatile in strategies and tactics of battle, exposes Duryodhana's arrogance. To instruct his own guru, it definitely shows his arrogance and maybe the nervousness also. He was nervous, directing all of them to protect Bhishma at all costs. He is instructing. It makes even more clear the element of doubt in his mind about Bhishma. This is another way of looking at it, because Pitamaha Bhishma has had a soft corner for Pandavas. In fact, he tried several times to tell Duryodhana not to enter into war, because he knew that we are on the wrong side. But Duryodhana did not budge, and the war was to start. So he had this doubt that Pitamaha Bhishma, in the heart of heart, is like to support Pandavas. So he should be kept watch on. Maybe this is the reason. He said, you all of you be protective to Pitamaha Bhishma. Actually, Pitamaha Bhishma hardly needed anybody's protection to protect him, because no warrior could equal his fighting excellence of Pitamaha Bhishma. A doubting man who is doubting his own senior commanders. This doubting man is, of course, Duryodhana, he is doubting his own senior commanders like Pitamaha Bhishma. He can hardly be an ideal leader in the war. How can you doubt your own commanders? And if you look at it from non-political view, it may also mean that Duryodhana wanted to genuinely, honestly protect his senior-most warrior, Pitamaha Bhishma, in the war. Because if the senior-most commander of the army falls down in the attack from the enemy, then the whole army goes haywire. So to protect the senior-most commander is also a strategy which is followed in the war. And this is also probably the reason that Duryodhana is asking Guru Dronacharya to protect, support Pitamaha Bhishma from all sides. Now, having said that, we go to next shloka, shloka number 12. Tasya sanjanayan harshang guruvruddhah pitamaha simvanadav vinadyau chai shankhan dadmau pratapavan. Tasya means his sanjanayan. Sanjanayan means nothing to do with Sanjaya. Sanjanayan means to increase, to elevate, to uplift. Harsha is cheerfulness. Kuru Vruddha, the senior most in the Kuru dynasty. Kuru Vruddha, that means Pitamaha Bhishma. Simhanad, roaring sound like that of lion. Simhanad. Vinadya, vibrating. Uchchai, very high level, very loud. Shankha is conch shell. You sound the shankha, you blow the shankha. That shankha is conch shell. Dadmo is to blow. And Pratapavan is someone who is very impressive. Now Pitamaha Bhishma, he probably saw that Duryodhana is getting nervous. So to boost up his moral, to boost up his cheerfulness, what did Pitamaha Bhishma do? The Pitamaha, the mighty grandfather of all Kauravas and Pandavas, sensing Duryodhana's nervousness, and to boost Duryodhana's morale and to please him, he blew his conch very, very loudly. He blew his conch shell very, very loudly, and making the sound like that roar of a lion. Simhanad, Vinadyachai. Now the sagging moral of a king, in this case Duryodhana, who is present on the battlefield, particularly when it has been sensed by his generals. When it has been sensed by his generals, like Pitamaha Bhishma sensed it, the sagging moral of the king, it can work like a hole in the bottom of a flag warship. If the warship has a hole at its bottom, what will happen? It will sink. So Pitamaha Bhishma, the veteran soldier of distinguished eminence, he captured this moment and he decided to boost up Duryodhana's moral and injected the booster dose by blowing his conch shell, filling the sky with its roaring sound. The whole atmosphere was filled with that huge loud sound of Pitamaha Bhishma's blowing the conch shell. Now blowing the conch shell is anyway very beneficial. I do it every day. Try this someday. When your mind is restless, which most of the time is, try blowing the conch shell. First of all, you will have to take a long deep breath. Fill up your chest with a lot of air, because the sound will be produced only after the long forceful exhalation. The sound from the conch shell gets produced when you exhale. So you fill up your chest with a lot of air, lot of oxygen, and then when you exhale forcefully through that conch shell, it makes that huge sound. And the sound that emerges from conch shell, it resonates in the forehead, here in the forehead, and the sound vibrations produced have a deep effect on your body, particularly your lungs and the nervous system. So to boost up and to keep your lungs healthy and to keep your nervous system in place healthy, it is a good practice to try and blow the conch shell every morning, 3 times. So on seeing the discouraged, nervous Duryodhana, grandfather Pitamaha Bhishma, he blew his conch to alleviate his fears and to instill some kind of confidence in him. What happens next is Tadashankhaschya bhairyascha panavanaka go mukhaha sahasaivaabhyahanyanta sashabdastumulo bhavat. Once Pitamaha Bhishma, he blew his conch shell, tata, thereafter, Shankha, conch shell, Bhairya is large drums, what we call in Hindi, dhol, nagade. So that Bhairya, Panava Anaka is small drums, kettle drums, or some instrument like Mrudunga. Gomukhaha is the horn. Sahasa is suddenly, all of a sudden. Abhyahanyanta started sounding. Shabda, the combined sound of all the instruments which were played suddenly. Tumula, tumultuous. Tumula, very, very loud. Abhavata, become. So when Pitamaha Bhishma, he blew his conch shell very, very loudly. Soon after that, the war hysteria, it engulfed the Kaurava army. Everybody in Kaurava's side got charged up with the blowing of conch shell by Pitamaha Bhishma. And the other conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, horns were all sounded suddenly all together. And the combined sound produced was intensely blustering and thunderous. Now in those times, along with the weapons and the artillery, musical instruments too were brought to the battlefield, which is not done now, but those days. The loud booming sound thus played by the instrument, it used to create and instill great confidence even in the weak soldiers. Even the weak, feeble soldiers also used to get charged up with that sounding of musical instruments. We experience this on every 26th of January and 15th of August. When the songs of patriotism and nationalism are going all around on radio, on TV, on FM channels, everywhere, then we also get charged up with the national spirit and the spirit of patriotism. The musicians gathered at the battlefield, they would create this thunderous, moral boosting sound like we experience. And this was done before the start of the fight, before the start of the war. Having done that, at the end of the day, because in Mahabharata, the war used to get played between Kauravas and Pandavas, morning, sunrise till sunset. After sunset, ceasefire till next day. So after that ceasefire, after the sunset, the same musicians used to gather at the who used to gather at the battlefield. What they would do? They would be playing the calming music or the soothing music for the injured soldiers. During the day, hundreds, thousands of soldiers would get injured. When they are resting in their camps, these musicians would go and play the calming, soothing music for them. This calming music would act like a healing balm for the wounded soldiers. So music had very important role in the battles for those days. What an interesting usage of music during the war. But then it used to be a righteous war. War used to be fought based on some certain rules. And that was being fought ethically with some kind of integrity, wisdom, and rules. Unlike today's wars, when the enemy can enter into your residential area and can start bombing the residential areas as well. This was not done in those days. That's why Kurukshetra was selected, so that all residential areas do not get harmed due to war between Kauravas and Pandavas. This place was to get used to get selected, in this case Kurukshetra. What happens next? 14th. Tadashvetairhayiryukte mahadisyandane sthitau madavah pandavaschaivo divyau shankau pradadmaduhu. This shloka needs clapping from all of us, because this denotes the entry of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. Tatashvetairhayiryukte, thereafter, Shvet, white, Hai, horses, Yukte, being pulled, Mahati, Mahati is great, Syandane, Syandane is Ratha, chariot, Sthitau, Sthitau is situated, Madhava, Lord Krishna, Pandava, Arjuna, Divyo, divine, Shankho, conch shell, we know it, Pradadmatuhu, to blow. Thereafter, something happened which charged up all Pandavas. What happened? As this clamorous sound on one side, a great chariot drawn by the pristine white horses, Shvetairhayiryukte, entered the battlefield. And who was there in the chariot? Lord Krishna and Arjuna were seated on the chariot, and then they sounded their divine conch shells. So this is the entry of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad-Gītā on the field of Kurukshetra. So what a beautiful description in this shloka. See, although Bhagavad-Gītā is Lord Krishna's divine song, but it is written by Maharishi Vedavyas, and he wrote it down from his memory. Try to visualize. Imagine in front of you the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and imagine the scenario through your heart. The celestial white pristine horses drawing the grand chariot, grand Ratha, and seated on this chariot is our beloved, magnificent Lord Krishna. In his yellow satin clothes and beautiful peacock feathers adorning the bejeweled crown on his head. His face beaming with lustrous radiance, a dazzling smile on his lips, which normally we see any photo of Lord Krishna, you see he has a typical smile on his face, always smiling face, and immersed in sheer bliss. What an enchanting and pleasing sight that could be. Lord Krishna entering the battlefield. Now Shri Krishna is holding the horses of the chariot. He is performing the role of a charioteer, while Arjuna is standing at the back of the chariot, at the back of the Ratha. Such a chariot, it entered the battlefield, and Lord Shri Krishna responded to the sounds emanating from the Kauravas' camp by blowing his own divine conch shell. Lord Krishna sounded his own conch shell, and it goes without saying that the resultant sound resonated everywhere. Paramatma sounding his conch shell, it will resonate the whole world, obviously. This divine sound, it instilled great enthusiasm in the generals of Pandava's camps, and they too started blowing their conch shells afterwards. So blowing of conch shell from Pandava's side was started by Lord Krishna, and then after Arjuna. You go to next sloka, 15. Panchajanyam Hrishikesho Devadattandhananjayah Paundran Dadmau Mahashankham Bhimakarma Vrukodaraha. Panchajanyam Hrishikesho. Panchajanya is the name of conch shell which was blown by Lord Krishna. Hrishikesha. Hrishikesha is of course Lord Krishna. Devadatta. Devadatta is the name of conch shell which was blown by Arjuna. Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya is Arjuna. Poundram. Poundra was the name of conch shell blown by Bhima. Dadmo is to blow. Mahashankam, very, very big, terrific conch shell. That Mahashankam was of Lord Bhima. Bhima Karma. Bhima Karma, a person who performs very huge Herculean tasks, is Bhima Karma. Vrukodara. Vrukodaraha, someone whose udar, whose belly, whose stomach is so big that he can eat anything at any time and whatever amount. He is always hungry. He can eat anything, anytime, in whatever quantity. So Vrukodara, person having a very, very huge amount of hunger all the time. So Lord Krishna, he blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his conch shell known as Devadatta. And Bhima, the performance of Herculean task, he blew his marvelous, huge conch shell called Poundra. Now Shri Krishna's conch was called Panchajanya. And what a befitting name that was, Panchajanya. Panchajanya denotes the composite of 5 symbols. When a sound is produced, this becomes possible with interplay of 5 elements. Sound vibrations travel in air. Air exists in ether, that means sky. The fire element plays an important role, integral role in this. The 5 elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. They constitute the entire manifest world, including not only your body and my body, but even the body of Lord Krishna. It was consisting of this Pancha Mahabhuta. Moreover, there are 5 sense organs. We have 5 Jnanendriya and 5 Karmendriyas in our body. Hence, a very apt name of Panchajanya, denoting all these 5. Now, Arjuna's conch shell was named Devadatta. Deva means divine, Deva, and virtuous. Arjuna was of a pure and noble disposition, which justifies the name of its conch shell as Devadatta. This conch was given to Arjuna by King Indra when Pandavas, they performed the Rajasuya Yajna. On the other hand, Bhima, who was physically very, very strong and robust, his conch shell was called Poundra, which produced a frightening and monstrously huge sound. So the conch shells reflected their individual personalities. Panchajanya, Hrishikesh, Devadatta, Arjuna, and Poundra, Bhima. Scriptures, our Adhyatmic mythological literature, it describes Arjuna as embodiment of Teja. Out of Panchamahabhuta, all Pandavas are symbols of Panchamahabhuta. Arjuna representing Teja. And Bhima, embodiment of Vayu. Vayu in storm, Vayu in cyclone is very, very destructive, like the characteristic of Bhima. Bhima was very destructive. So there are stories in scriptures comparing and identifying 5 Pandavas with Panchamahabhuta. Panchamahabhuta means earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Now, the question may come to our mind is, were these people in the battlefield for fighting or for blowing their conch shells? Why everyone is blowing his conch shell instead of starting the fight? But remember that this was a war being fought by people who were wise. They knew that doing so would infuse courage and enthusiasm in their soldiers and simultaneously dampen the spirit of their enemies. So to dampen the spirit of enemies and to boost up the morale of your own soldiers, you blow the conch shell. What happens next? 16th sloka. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakulas Sahadevascha Subhoshamani Pushpakau. This series of blowing of conch shell continues. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakulas Sahadevascha Subhosha Mani Pushpakau. Sons of Kunti, the king Yudhishthira, he blew his conch shell named Ananta Vijaya, along with Nakul and Sahadeva, whose conch shells were called Sughosha and Mani Pushpak, respectively. Sughosh and Mani Pushpak. Actually, Arjuna, Bhima, and Yudhishthira, three were Kunti's sons, while Nakul and Sahadeva were Madri's sons. They were not Kunti's sons, they were Madri's sons. So the adjective here used, Kunti Putra, is basically used for Yudhishthira. So Nakul Sahadeva also used to call Kunti as their mother only. She was also like mother there only. But their real mother was Madri, not Kunti. Now Yudhishthira has been called king, Raja, because he was the ruler of half of the Indraprastha kingdom before they went to Vanvasa, before exile. And according to the promise and according to the law, even that time, he should have been the king after coming back from that exile and that Vanvas incognito residence of 1 year. Moreover, by calling him king, probably Sanjaya wanted to give a hint that he would be the king of entire territory afterwards. Maybe he imagined the result of war and then he said probably that Yudhishthira is going to be the king. So he calls him king. Now Yudhishthira is known as Dharmaraja, which literally means king of Dharma. Dharmaraj, king of Dharma. But here Dharma does not refer to the absolute truth. We call Dharma in Bhagavad-Gītā as Dharma means one who has understood his Dharma, his duty, and Dharma is knowing yourself. Your Swa, self-realization and God-realization is Dharma. So this Dharmaraj, which was Yudhishthira's calling, he was not Dharmaraj in that sense. Rather, it represented the social rules on moral conduct, which Yudhishthira followed very precisely. And that is why he was referred to as Dharmaraj. He used to follow the social rules and the rules of moral conduct. Not that he had done self-realization or the God-realization. That Dharma is different. This Dharma is different. But even though he was called Dharmaraj, he nevertheless did commit a blunder, an error of judgment, when by gambling away, he gambled his brothers and his wife in the gamble with Kauravas. But that one lapse did not wipe out all his character. His quality was he never lost his cool. He was extremely respectful to all elders, including Dhritarashtra. He was very well aware of Duryodhana's animosity towards Pandavas, but he always stopped even Bhima from retaliating, saying that our Dharma doesn't allow this. Anger cannot be a tool of retaliation. So these were the principles which he was following, and that was the reason he was called Dharmaraj. All these reasons he was called Dharmaraj. As I said, Dharma following social rules and moral conduct is different than the Dharma of knowing the absolute truth. What is the absolute truth? Knowing Swa, knowing self-realization and the God-realization. So that Dharma is different. That requires highest wisdom. Yudhishthira was in the former category of Dharma, social rules and moral conduct. Okay, we go to 17th sloka now. Kasyascha parameshvasash शिखण्डी च महारथः दृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकिश्च पराजितः. Kashya. Kashya means the king of Kashi. Parameshwasash, the great archer. Maharatha. Maharatha, by definition, is one who can fight against 1,000 people alone, or one who can lead a team of 10,000 soldiers from his side. He is called Maharatha. Drushtadhyumno. He was the son of King Drupad. Virat, the king who had given shelter to Pandavas when they were in the disguise for 1 year. That place of incognito, they stayed there for 1 year. So King Virat was the king who gave them shelter during that 1 year. Satyaki aparajitaha. Satyaki, who had never been won over by his opponent. So this shloka says, or let us read shloka 18 also. Shloka 17 and 18 almost go together. Shloka 18. द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वशः पृथिवीपते सौभद्रश्च महाबाहुश्च शङ्खं दद्मः पृथक् पृथक्. The king of Kashi was excellent archer, and Shikhandi, the great fighter, Maharatha. Drushtadhyumno, Virat, and the unconquerable Satyaki, they all blew their conch shells. Thereafter, Drupad, the son of Draupadi, and the mighty armed, extraordinarily handsome son of Subhadra, and Arjuna, who Abhimanyu, they blew their conch shells. Now, this great fighter, Maharatha Shikhandi, was very brave. In his previous birth, he was a woman, daughter named Amba of King of Kashi. This Shikhandi was Amba in his previous birth. And in this birth also, when born, he was born as a daughter to King Drupad. Afterwards, she became a man by getting a manhood from a Jaini. That is the story. Bhishma knew all this, and therefore he regarded Shikhandi as a woman and did not shoot any arrows at him. At woman, he would not shoot any arrow. So Arjuna, while fighting, kept this in mind, and he always kept Shikhandi ahead and shot arrows at Bhishma, and then in the process overthrew Bhishma from his ratha, from his chariot, taking advantage of his weakness against Shikhandi. So that was Shikhandi. Now Arjuna's son Abhimanyu, he was very, very brave. In the warfare, he killed many, many warriors by entering in the Chakra Vyuha, that means the array of soldiers, in the form of circle, which was formed by Dronacharya. But then, when they thought that he is unconquerable, Abhimanyu, the 6 great warriors from side of Kauravas, from the army of Kauravas, they surrounded him and by foul means attacked him with weapons. He was killed when Dushasana's son hit him on the head with his gada, with his mace. He was hit on the back side of his head from the back. Because otherwise, he was not getting killed. His bravery was destroying Kaurava's army. Now, Sanjaya mentions only one warrior, that is Bhishma, Pitamaha Bhishma, who blew his conch shell from Kaurava's army. While he mentioned 18 warriors, if you count all the warriors which were named in the previous shlokas, 18 warriors who blew their conch shells from Pandava's side. Lord Krishna, Arjuna, Bhima, Yudhishthira, Snakula, Sahadeva, 5 sons of Draupadi, etc., etc., etc. So total 18 warriors are named by Sanjaya as they blew their conch shells in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It seems Sanjaya did not want to describe the unrighteous side of Kaurava's army in great details. But he had great regard for Lord Krishna, the Pandavas, and the Pandavas' army, because he knew that they are on the right side. Pandava's side was the side of righteousness. So he thought it proper, Sanjaya, to describe the warriors of Pandava army in more details and he took delight in describing Pandavas in great details. We go to next sloka, 19th. Sogosho dhartarashtraణam hridaya nivyadharayat navasya prithivim tumulo vyanunadayan. So, some is that Ghosho. Ghosh means sound, vibrations. Dhartarashtran, sons of Dharashtra. Hridayani, Hridayani, the hearts. Vyadarayat, Vyadarayat is shattered. Nabha, sky. Prithivim, the earth. Tumul, very, very loud. Vyanunadayan, the sound and its echo. When we go to the hilltop and shout loudly, we get an echo. So this is Vyanunadayan. So this terrible dream, the blowing of these different conch shells, because they become very, very loud, vibrating and sounding both in the sky and on the earth. That loud sound shattered the hearts of sons of Dharashtra. So Gosho Dhartarashtranam Hridayani Vyadarayat Navasya Prithivim Tumulo Vyanunadayan. Sagosho Dhartarashtranam Hridayani Vyadarayat Navasya Prithivim Tumulo Vyanunadayan. The sound of the conch shells of Pandava army was so thunderous, so roaring, so horrifying that it echoed through the sky and earth. And it shattered the hearts of Kauravas, who had snatched away the empire from Pandavas, and also of the kings who were supporting Kauravas, who had come to fight from the side of Kauravas. It means that as a weapon, it shatters the heart and causes it pain. So does the sound of these conchs. The sound discouraged the Kaurava army and its warriors. They were horror-struck with that huge sound which filled the sky and the earth. Now here the question may arise as why there was the effect of sound of the war instruments such as this conch and drums and everything of 11 Akshahini army. That was the size of army of Kauravas. The proportion of Kaurava versus Pandava was 7 versus 11. The Kauravas army was 11 Akshauhini. We can go into details of what is Akshauhini. Akshauhini is 10, maybe around 1,09,350 soldiers, then 65,000 horses, then maybe 22,000 rathas. All this constitutes one Akshauhini. Like that, 11 Akshauhini army Kauravas had. And while Pandavas, they had 7 Akshauhini. But here we are talking of Kauravas getting shattered because of the sounding of conch shells by Pandavas army. But why there is no shattering of Pandavas' heart because of conch shells being blown by Kauravas? The answer is that the hearts of those who are righteous and just they cannot be shattered. They have got a strong heart because they are on the right side. The truth is on their side. That truth makes their heart very, very strong. Nobody can shatter those hearts. The strength of truth is such huge that nobody can shatter the truth. Nobody can shatter their heart who are on the right side. Pandavas had ruled over the empire with justice and righteousness before their exile, and also demanded their empire from Kauravas legitimately, which was also a just demand. On the other hand, the hearts of those who are unrighteous, like Kauravas, unjust and sinful, like Kauravas, their hearts are weak, doubtful, and full of fear. They may be strong physically, but in the heart, they are weak because they know we are doing something wrong. It is their sin or injustice which weakens their heart. So unrighteous people have weak heart, righteous people have strong heart. This is the conclusion we can draw. Duryodhana and his group, they tried their best to kill Pandavas by any means. They snatched their empire and caused them much trouble. They did not leave a single opportunity to trouble Pandavas. Thus, they stood on the side of unrighteousness, Kauravas. So the sound of the conch of 7 Akshavini army of Pandavas, it shattered the hearts of 11 Akshavini army of Kauravas. Now this incident, it reminds one more thing, that a striver, a sadhak, he should never have unjust and unrighteousness dealings through his body, through his speech, or through his mind. Gita treats actions taken by your body, by speech, or mind as your karma. Shri Mano Viryat karma prarabhate nara. There is a shloka in 18th adhyay. All the kriyas of your body, your speech, and your mind are your karmas. So don't be unjust and unrighteous in your action which you take through your body, through your speech, or through your mind. Because this weakens the heart and it creates fear. For example, Ravana was very, very powerful. Everybody used to get scared of it. He was such powerful, even the gods, demigods used to get scared of Ravana. That was his bravery. That was his power. That was his strength. But when he abducted Sita, he being terrified, knowing that he had done something wrong, he looked here and there to see if anyone is watching him, because he had done a bad act. So when you do a bad act, you obviously become weak in your heart. You become fearful. So from this shloka, what we understand is this: don't follow any unjust or unrighteous means to achieve your objective. Otherwise, you will have a very weak side on your side. Okay, we go to next shloka now. 20. अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः. अथ, thereupon, now, vyavasthitan, well standing, situated, drashtva, seeing, dhartarashtra, the sons of Dharashtra, kapidhvajaha, kapi, Hanuman, dvaja, flag, pravritte, about to start, shastra sampate, just starting to use the weapons, shastra sampate, dhanu, dhanu is dhanusha, bow, udyamya, to take up, to lift, and Pandava is, of course, Arjuna. So, Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra that after that, Arjuna, on whose chariot was hoisted a flag with the photo of Hanumana. Arjuna's Ratha was having a flag bearing the photo of Hanumana. He looked at the sons of Dhritarashtra standing firmly in the military array and lifted his bow in preparation for the battle. As if the war is just to start, Arjuna lifted his Dhanusha, seated in the chariot, which was having a flag bearing the photo of Hanumana. Now, Vedavyas is saying that there is a flag with a symbol of Hanuman on it, on the chariot of Arjuna, which is hoisted on the chariot of Arjuna, which was driven by, charioteer was Lord Krishna. This is not a mere coincidence. There is a meaning behind it. The one who had appeared as Lord Shri Ram in the previous era, he only appeared as Shri Krishna in this era. Hanuman had played a very pivotal role in Ramayana. As we all know, today is Hanuman Jayanti. When I am saying this to you, I think we should remember that Hanuman Jayanti has just passed a couple of days back. And that Hanuman Jayanti was the time when we all remember not only Lord Rama, also equally Lord Hanumana. Hanumana had a very, very pivotal role in the whole of Ramayana. Now, when he was on the side of Lord Rama and he helped immensely on all fronts in the army of Lord Rama, be it assembling the army or tracing the whereabouts of Sita and much more. So now when Lord Krishna was facing the situation of war, how was it possible that Hanumana would keep away from it? Is it possible? Ultimately, Lord Krishna was reincarnation of Lord Rama only. So how could Hanumana keep away? Can Hanumana be separated from Rama? Never, cannot imagine. So it is believed that both Hanuman and Bhima, they were the sons of Vayu, Lord of Wind. And as the story goes, once Draupadi asked Bhima to bring some kind of flower from the hilltop. When Bhima climbed the mountain from where the tree was there, bearing that flower, when he reached the top, it is said he met Hanuman on that hilltop. The aging Hanumana was sleeping on the ground with his tail stretched out, which was obstructing the path of Bhima when he was going on the mountain. And Bhima, not being very intelligent, not so sharp, he almost shouted, yelled at Hanumana to move his tail. I am going up, please move your tail. It is obstructing my way. Hanumana did not say anything. But when Bhima ordered him again and again, Hanumanji, he finally spoke. He said, I am old, so how can I move this long, heavy tail? My dear, why don't you help me and move this tail yourself? So Bhima decided to do it himself. First, he tried to move the tail by pushing it with his feet, like any arrogant person would do. But he did not budge. Then he grabbed it with his mighty hands and tried to lift it up. It still did not move an inch. Now Bhima got scared. And he realized that this was no ordinary being. He is something different. He bowed down and with folded hands and then asked Hanumanji to reveal his true identity. Who are you? Hanumanji then appeared in his real form and said, I am your elder brother. I am also the son of Vayu. You are also the son of Vayu. I am your elder brother, Bhima, and I have come here to advise you. Use your intellect in the war. Don't use only your power, but use your intellect in the war that you will be fighting in the near future. Don't underestimate your opponent's power by merely going on his physical appearance. Don't make the error of judgment. Use your intellect. So at the time of war, when all the supporters, friends, relatives of Pandavas, they came together, Hanuman could remain away. So he did not remain away. He also joined Pandavas, but in the form of a sign on the flag. Not in his physical form, but in the sign of on the flag. But since it was not Hanuman's era, he did not manifest in the physical form because it was different era. Hanuman is immortal. He could come anytime, even today, because he is one of the 8 immortals. But it was not his era, so he did not manifest in his physical form in Mahabharata war. But in order to support his brother and to assist his beloved master, Shri Krishna, which was Shri Rama, Hanuman established himself as a symbol on the flag. So if it may seem to be only a symbol, but as we know the story of Mahabharata, so many weapons were fired at the chariot of Arjuna, but it did not damage the chariot. Into fire. It was all protected by Hanumana all these days during the war. So that was the power, that was the involvement of Hanumana in the war of Mahabharata as well. The rest of the shloka says that at the time Arjuna took up his bow and prepared to fight shoot the first arrow. After looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, who were standing in the form of a military formation, he spoke these words to whom? To Rishikesham Vakyamidamaha Mahipate. We go to next sloka now. Rishikesham Dada Vakyamidamaha Mahipate. Arjuna Vacho Senayor Bhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapayamechyuta. Senayor Bhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapayamechyuta. Achyuta means Arjuna, Lord Krishna, please place my chariot between the two armies and hold it there, keep it there, till I have carefully observed the war-minded warriors with whom I have to fight this war. Let me see them. Achyuta Senayor Bhair Madhye Ratham Sthapaya. So two armies were standing against each other. They were stationed at such a distance from each other from where they could shoot the arrows against each other. Arjuna asked Lord Krishna to place his chariot in the middle. To begin with, Arjuna was valiant, very brave. But when he saw his kith and kin in the battle, he developed an attitude of disinterest in the war, being overtaken by the attachment with his friends, relatives, gurus, and all whatnot. It means that a man, in whatever circumstances he is, by making proper use of circumstances, can be free from desires and can realize God. Because God Paramatma always remains uniform in all the circumstances. Next loka says, Rishi Kishanda Vakyamidama Mahipate, Senyor Verde, Tam Stapayamechyuta, Yavadetan Nirikshe Hai Yodhukaman Avastitan, Kairmaya Sah Yodhavyam Aspin Ranasamudyame. Slok number 22. So how long this chariot is to be kept between the two armies? Arjuna says, hold the chariot there till I carefully observe my enemies, the war-minded kings who have come here to fight the war, who are stationed in the army of Kauravas and with whom I have to wage the war. Let me see those heroes from their side with whom I have to encounter. Let me see also which of them are inferior, superior, or equal to me in their heroism, in their bravery. It's always a good practice to observe the enemy and then you plan the strategy. So Arjuna followed the same strategy to observe the enemy first. It is a different matter that after observing the enemy, his heart changed. And that was the Geeta. So here, Yuddhu Kaman. Yuddhu Kaman, Arjuna means to say that they have, Pandavas already had sent proposal for conciliation to Pandava. But Kauravas did not accept it. And they had the keen desire to wage the war. Among Kauravas, Duryodhana particularly had the keen desire to wage the war. So he wants to observe the warriors and their bravery, which makes them so confident to wage the war against Pandavas and against Arjuna in particular. Who are these people who have come here to fight war against me? Let me observe. So that was like a typical Kshatriya. Okay, we go to next sloka now, 23rd. Yotsamanana vekshe hanya etetra samagataha dhartarashtrasya durbuddhir yuddhe priyachikirshavaha. Yuddhe priyachikirshavaha. Yotsamanana vekshe hanya etetra samagataha dhartarashtrasya durbuddhir yuddhe priyachikirshavaha. Here Arjuna, by calling Duryodhana as evil-minded, Durbuddhe, Durbuddhe, he wants to convey how Duryodhana conspired for their destruction several times. He tried to kill Pandavas several times in the past, even when they were in the Vanvasa or when they are in their place of incognito. He tried several times to kill Pandavas. Arjuna says, we are the lawful owner of half of the empire of this Hastinapur, of Indraprastha, but he wants to snatch away everything. He is evil-minded. He is Durbuddhi person. And these kings who have assembled here to try to do good with him, to support him, but the duty of a friend honestly should be to give him such advice as may add to his welfare now. They should have advised Duryodhana not to enter into war and make some kind of conciliation with Pandavas. Give them something and close the issue. So instead of doing that, these kings have joined Duryodhana in fighting the war. So Arjuna was very curious to know how these people, instead of advising Duryodhana not to take the war, they have come here in support of Duryodhana to fight a war against Pandavas. Who are these characters? Who are these people? And how they could develop this strong desire to fight a war? So as friends, they should have advised him to rule over half of the kingdom and hand over the half to Pandavas. Thus he would have been ruled, he could have ruled half of the empire, and his life in the next world could also have been protected because he had not done any papa karma in that case. As per agreement, he handed over half to Pandavas. So it is happy situation, win-win situation for both Kauravas and Pandavas. But Duryodhana, being a durbuddhi person, he did not do it. He says, Arjuna, I want to observe the warriors who are so impatient to wage war against us. They have favored the unrighteous side and injustice. So they are sure to get ruined in the war because unjust side gets ruined. Unrighteousness side gets ruined in the war. Let me see who are those people. Yosyamanana, in this Arjuna wants to see those who have that keen desire to fight the war. Okay, we go to next sloka now, 24. Evamukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata. This is Sanjaya Vacha. Sanjaya Vacha. Evamukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata. Senayor Bhayor Madhye Stapayatva Rathottamam. We'll take 25th also. Bhishmadrona Pramukadas Sarvesha Intamahikshitam. Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuru Niti. Evamukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata. Senayor Bhayor Madhye Stapayatva Rathottamam. Bhishmadrona Pramukadas Sarvesha Intamahikshitam. Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuru Niti. Now here Gudakesh. Gudakesh has two meanings. Guda means curled and Kesha means hair. So it means one having curly hair. So Arjuna was a Gudakesh. She had curly hair. Gudakesh, another meaning is one having control over sleep. If he decides I will sleep for 2 hours and 10 minutes, after 2 or 10 minutes, he will wake up. That is his control over the sleep. So that person also called Gudakesh. Now Gudakesh, Arjuna was Gudakesh in the both senses. He had curly hair and he had control over his sleep also. Eva Mukta, one who is not slave to sleep, idleness and the materialistic pleasure, but he is a devotee of God, slave to the God. God listens to such a person and even follows his instructions, like Arjuna, Krishna followed instructions of Arjuna. You be my charioteer, okay. You take my chariot here, Shena your Bhair Madhye, okay. So he followed his orders. So in order to carry out the wish of his devotee friend Arjuna, Lord Krishna placed the chariot between the two armies. Evam Ukta. Evam Uktva. After saying like this. Rishikesha. Rishikesh. Rishi means senses. Rishikesha means the Lord of senses. Arjuna, Krishna was the Lord of senses. Who is the inspirer of mind, intellect and senses is Lord Krishna, Rishikesh, who commands the whole world. And he has come as a chariot driver to carry out Arjuna's wish. It shows how kind Lord Krishna was to Arjuna. Senayor Bhayor Madhye Sthapayitva Rathottamam. As instructed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna stationed Arjuna's chariot, Ratha, in the open space between the two armies. Bhishmadrona Pramugata Sarvain Chaita Mahikshitam. Oh my God. Now the Arjuna Vishad will start. Lord Krishna placed the chariot at such a point from where he could see Bhishma, Dronacharya, all the chief kings and warriors of Kaurava army. Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuru Niti. Lord Krishna says, see all the Kuru dynasty people standing here. He did not say Dhartaratran, not the sons of Dhartara, but Kuru. Kuru was the dynasty of Pandavas as well. So probably Krishna wanted to tell Arjuna that this is Kuru versus Kuru war. You will be fighting against your own people. You are also Kuru dynasty. Kaurava was also Kuru dynasty. To probably instill a feeling of some kind of fear in the Arjuna, whether to take war against his relations, his friends, his gurus, who belong to the same dynasty as him, Kuru. If that had not happened, and if he had used the word Dhartarashtra, sons of Dhritarashtra, probably Arjuna would have started the war. But saying Kuru, probably it stressed that they are also belonging to the same dynasty as you. So would you like to take the war? Now that probably caused the Geeta. When Arjuna saw all the enemies, Bhishma, Drona, Paramgata, Sarma, Chaita, Mahikshatam, so that caused the war of Mahabharata. Rest of the shlokas we'll take in the next session. Thank you so very much. Jai Shri Krishna. And now the forum is open for all of you to raise your questions. In the last session also, I think questions answer session was skipped. You can raise questions about the first 10 shlokas, what we covered in the last session, and the shlokas, of course, what we covered in today's session. So up to 25th of shlokas, first to 25th, whatever questions we have, please feel free to raise your questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, respected Vaidya ji, for your interesting narration today. Before we have the question and answer session, please allow me to make a few announcements. The new L1 batch will start from 17th of November. You are requested to download the Ram Pratishtha app if you further Hanuman Chalisa chanting. There will be daily Parayan. So that's one more announcement. We are happy to announce that we are going to have daily Parayan of recitation of one Adhyaya followed by 5 times chanting of Hanuman Chalisa for Geeta Sadhakas after completion of L4. This session is held daily at 6:30 a.m. The weekly Parayan. We feel extremely glad and truly blessed to be part of Geeta Parivar. We have decided to recite Sampurna Geeta Parayan every Sunday at 7 a.m. Looking forward for your cooperation and success of this Parayan. Vikas ji Vaidya will now take your questions. Please raise your hands and he will call out your names.
Any questions about first Adhyaya 25th shloka?
Mohini Didi, I have sent you a request to unmute, please. Yes. Please ask Mohini Didi.
Jai Shri Krishna. My question is that in the war, all the 100 sons of Pandava, this Dhritarashtra, he had one son that was from this Dasiputra. Was he also in the fight at that time?
You are talking of who is Dasiputra? Vidur?
No, Dhritarashtra has also Dasiputra.
No, I am not aware of that. I am aware of only 100 of his sons.
That is what, yeah. Actually, I listen Swamiji's this Mahabharata. In that, he told that Dhritarashtra had one Dasiputra.
There was one Vikarna. Yes, there was one Vikarna who was on the side of Pandava.
No, was he Dasiputra? He was also among these 100, or he was 101?
According to my knowledge, he was also among those 100. Vikarna was also one of those 100. He was the brother
100,
of...
but Swamiji told that he had one son, Dasiputra.
Sorry,
Dasiputra.
I may have to find some more information about this. At the moment, I cannot reply to the question about Dhritarashtra having a Dasiputra. Because
I couldn't talk on that day with Swamiji because I was offline.
Dhritarashtra, Pandu, Ambalika, Ambika, they were sons of that. And Vidur was the son of that.
No, Vidur was his cousin. Vidur was his Dhritarashtra's cousin. But one day, actually, I heard it twice. One day he was telling Mahabharata in their Rishikesh. There he told in chapter 4th or 5th day that he had one Dasiputra, and from that I am in confusion. If that Dasiputra, if that son is one among the 100, or that was 1 plus 1?
So far we have heard about 100 Kauravas. We have never heard
Yeah.
of 101 Kauravas.
100.
So let me
Yeah,
find some
100.
details. In the next session, probably I can satisfy your question. Let me find
Thank
some
you very much. Thank you.
Next
God
time.
bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is my curiosity since 2 months.
I'll definitely reply to it in the next session.
Thank
There
you.
is an addition
Thank you,
of
God.
knowledge to me also. Yes.
Thank you.
Jalaji.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Shloka number 24,
Yeah.
second charan, Gudakesh. Shri Krishna was also a Gudakesh. He also had a curly hair. So if we interpret instead of Arjun the name of Krishna, then what would be the meaning of this shloka?
No, here for Krishna, Rishikesh name has already come.
Okay.
And Eva Mukto Rishikesho, having said this to Rishikesh, Gudakesha Bharata. So, having said this to Krishna, Arjuna did this. So, Eva Mukto Rishikesho, it means having said this to Krishna. So, then Gudakesha cannot become Krishna again. Because, isn't it? So, here Gudakesh is only Arjuna, not
Arjuna.
Krishna.
And in shloka number 23, first charan, Yotsyamana Naveksha, iska meaning 27th shloka.
Yeah, Yotse means war.
Okay.
Yotse means war.
Yes.
And here, and Aveksha means to see, to say, let me see. Yotse manana, those who have desire to fight. Aveksha is to let me see. Aham is I. Yotse manana bekshe aham. Let me see who has come here to fight the war. Yotse manana bekshe.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Yes. I extend my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of Geeta Parivar to Vikas Vaidya ji for the wonderful and thought-provoking session. With your guidance, we hope to progress along this path. There's one announcement more. At the end of the session, there will be chanting of the Hanuman Chalisa. You're requested to stay behind for it. We would like to thank each and every one of you Geeta Sadhaks for attending this evening session. On behalf of Geeta Parivar, sincere thanks to the technical team for their relentless efforts in making the session a great success. Let's offer our prayers at the lotus feet of the Lord. I call upon Sneha Srinivas Naik ji. Sneha Srinivas Naik is a bachelor in electronics from Kudal, Sindhudurg. She is in the business of computer sales and service. She joined Geeta Parivar in 2020 and currently she is a trainer for L3. Welcome, Sneha Didi.
Jai Shri Krishna Didi.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Yogesham Sachidanandam Vasudevam Prajapriyam Dharma Samstapakam Veeram Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Jai Shri Krishna to all. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna.
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मनु मुकुरु सुधारी बरनउ रघुबर विमल जसु जो दायक फलचारी बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय कपीसति हूँ लोक उजागर। रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते, कवि कोविद कहि सकै कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु, लील्योताहि मधुर फल जानू। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे, तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरिचेरा, कीजय नाथ हृदय महडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरना, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय।
जय श्री कृष्ण।